Hello, welcome to the Smackdown Rundown, 23rd of October 2020. We kicked off the show with the Kevin Owens Show. Kevin welcomes everybody to the Kevin Owens Show on his new home of Smackdown. He introduces the first guest, the former four-time WWE Champion and one of the most technically skilled competitors in the WWE ring, Daniel Bryan. He then brings up the point that Daniel Bryan said that he'd like to face him again. He said, tell us about that. And he's like, we have had a match a few times and we've beaten the hell out of each other, but we've always pushed each other to make each other better. Kevin then asked to elaborate on the future of SmackDown. Daniel says he wants SmackDown to spotlight the best talent. They nailed it. They have the best fresh young talent in the world. They have people like Jey Uso and Big E who are stepping up every week. They want to see who will step up next week. Daniel says SmackDown will be better if anyone had the championship defended every week. SmackDown should have the Intercontinental Championship. Kevin said that's a great idea. He wanted to talk to Daniel about championships and tag team. They suggested that they become a tag team. Then Ziggler and Roode come out and interrupt. And then for some reason the Street Profits made their way out, and then after that Nakamura and Cesaro came out and we had a tag match. Overall, the segment for Kevin Owens Show, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. It was an alright opener. The match, which is obviously Street Profits, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens versus Ziggler, Roode, Cesaro and Nakamura, was a fairly competent match. Followed with a frog splash for a 3 count. Going to give the match a 3 out of 5. It was a pretty good opening segment. We then move on to what would probably be one of the most decisive segments throughout the entire night. It's time for Law and Otis. Ron Simmons is the bailiff and John Layfield, JBL, is the judge. JBL then runs through his charges. Miz interrupts his high-priced lawyer to make an opening statement. He says that he's here for the truth. He's had many precedent and the truth on his side. He's here to right the wrongs and take the briefcase from Otis and put his hands of the honourable superstar. Austin approved of the opening statement. Otis then says he deserves a contract because he won the match. Miz's lawyer says that was a good argument. Then Miz fires his attorney. I'm not going to rate this until we get everything in it. It is scattered throughout the night, so we'll just keep bringing up the segment when it happens. But yeah, let's continue. Sami Zayn stops and asks Daniel if he's okay. You badmouth me and suggested I defend the title every week. I do not share your vision. I will dictate who gets a title match. Sami says Daniel to keep him in the thoughts and he will do the same thing as long as he's champion. Yeah, 6 out of 10. It was a good exchange between them. Hopefully that Daniel will take the title off him eventually. We then had Bianca Belair in one of the worst outfits I've ever seen. It was just basically plastered with SmackDown logos all over it. It looked absolutely awful. Absolutely an awful attire for this episode. Please change that, Bianca. Well, you know what? Just go off TV, please. Kidding. She went against Selena Vega with the KOD for the win for Bianca Belair. Going to give the match a 2.5 out of 5. Moving on. Kayla Braxton asked Shorty G why he would accept this match. He says he's been here. He wasn't drafted by Raw or SmackDown, so he's going to run the ship. He's going to prove why he belongs here. He faces Lars Sullivan, Freak Accident for the win. Not really going to rate the match. It wasn't much of anything. But yeah, he loses. Then Kayla Braxton asks him how he feels after the match. He says he quits. More on that later. We then have a backstage interview with Seth Rollins. He's asked about his match with Murphy. He points out that he took him out of obscurity and he was disrespected by that man. do you call that fun? What am I supposed to do with Murphy tonight is going to be fun. He asked for this match. His emotions are pulling him apart. Seth said, for the greater good in all of us, he has a role to play. Murphy has to know his. Seth said he is the Messiah and Murphy is a disciple. Seth says that he is the saviour and Murphy is the walk behind her. Tonight, he will define Murphy's role for him and that sounds like a lot of fun. Gonna give it a 7 out of 10. It was a pretty decent Seth Rollins promo. Then we see Chad Gable in the back getting his shoulder eyes. Adam Pearce checks on Gable to see if he quits. He says he quits being Shorty G. He's done being a smiling little punching bag. He can't achieve what he wants to, and neither can Shorty G. There's only one person who can achieve what he wants, an Olympian and a man with a list compliment so long it has to be believed his name is Chad Gable. Yes, he called the Shorty G gimmick shit in this segment. 7 out of 10. Thank God he's finally gone back to Chad Gable. Thank God. So happy about that. Then Bayley says, she makes her way to the ring and says she cannot believe she has to come out here and talk about this, but she had 4 interviews and she kept being asked about Sasha Banks. She thought when she ended this it would be the end of her, but no. She said she won't sign the contract. You better burn the damn thing. She tells Sasha, ding dong, you're not the boss of me. Sasha makes her way to the ring. They have a little bit of a brawl. Sasha then puts Bayley in a chinlock while stuck in a chair. Bayley signs a contract. Overall, pretty decent. Going to give that a 7 out of 10. We then will come back to Law and Otis. Morrison is on the stand. Morrison testifies about the trauma they have suffered. It's not physical scars, but scars inside that hurt the most. Rey Mysterio then goes on the stand and says 8 of them walked into Money in the Bank and 1 walked out. It was Otis. Otis should be able to cash in when he wants. Asuka then is on the stand. She speaks a load of Japanese because obviously it's Asuka. JBL asks if he got it and Ted Long says he got every word of it, player. Asuka lets out a holla, holla, holla. Just for that. I like it. Tucker then takes a stand. He said that Miz crossed the line and he deserves everything that comes his way. Miz asks if be able to treat Tucker like a hostile witness. Tucker asked if Otis has neglected the briefcase. Tucker said Otis can focus on beating the crap out of Miz and Tucker wants to do the same. Ron Simmons then tells everyone to shut up. JBL says we're going to have a recess to render the verdict. JBL then comes back, says something about something is missing. It's the truth. He's supposed to believe that Otis is responsible for emotional distress in a hostile workplace. That's part of being a WWE superstar. Thank you. At least someone has logic. It's true Otis has not cashed in yet, but it's not negligence. It is established within the contract that they have a full year to cash in. JBL rules in favour and Miz interrupts and says, I've got one key piece of evidence. JBL wants to admit this evidence. Ron Simmons then gives JBL the briefcase. It is full of money because when he opens it, it goes ka-ching. Pretty subtle, that WWE. JBL says there's not this new evidence. He's ruling in favour of the Miz. Otis is ordered to face the Miz at Hell in the Cell. The winner gets the briefcase. I generally don't know whether to like this segment or not. I really don't know. Generally, I don't have a clue whether I liked this or not. I'm still in deciding. While we're doing this review, I'm just going to give it a nice, flat, even 5 out of 10. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't fantastic either. I'm going to give it a fairly average 5 out of 10. Overall, I enjoyed the segment, but it wasn't exactly fantastic. We then have Seth Rollins versus Buddy Murphy in a pretty decent match. Blackout for the win. I'm going to give the match a 3.5 out of 5. Generally, probably one of the best matches on SmackDown for a while. After the match, Steph gets a kendo stick. Aaliyah is watching in the back. She says, go and help Buddy Murphy. They both refuse. She runs down to help. Rollins yells at Murphy. Aaliyah gets in the way, but Seth manages to hit him with it a couple of times. Dominic then comes down. Seth attacks Dominic, and then Ray comes down and Seth leaves. Aaliyah checks on Buddy Murphy and she hugs him. Overall, gonna give that an 8 out of 10. I'm actually really enjoying. Sorry, 7 out of 10. Bit high. Overall, I'm really enjoying that storyline. Then we have the last segment of the night. Rey Mysterio comes down to the ring, and the Uso is in a bandana, appears in the locker room with Tribal Chief, Tribal Fruit, Tribal Water. He says it must be great to be the Tribal Chief, but just as good as being a Tribal Cousin. They say you've lost touch with him and his family. Don't ask me, ask my brother Jay, who is right behind you. Jay attacks him, bit of a brawl. Roman then gets the mic afterwards and says, "You don't understand. If you make me quit, I'm not the Universe Champion, I'm not the face of WWE, I'm not the head of the table, I'm not the Tribal Chief and the provider to generations of our bloodline. If you make me quit, I can live with that. The question is, can you? Well, when I make you quit, you fall in line and you will take orders, acknowledge me, respect me for who I am, the WWE, and all that to our family. If you can't, you're out. And so is your brother, your wife, your children's children are out of the family. We will turn your backs on you, and those are your consequences." The cell lowers and Jay starts to climb it, ending on a visual of like Jay halfway up the cell staring at Roman. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic ending to Friday Night SmackDown. Honestly, that is how you end a cliffhanger. Not the bullshit they did on Monday Night Raw. That was really, really good. Massively enjoyed it. Now, I'm going to give the show a 7.5 out of 10. It was better than Raw. It was a pretty decent episode of SmackDown, in my opinion. Now, thank you for watching this review. Hope you've enjoyed it. Smash that like button if you have. Share and subscribe, and I shall catch you all at later. Bye.